All right, for our regulator rectifier, we've got a 2206367, and this is the regulator rectifier for the Polaris RZR 900. They've done an updated regulator rectifier on here, which is why you're not just simply getting the actual box itself. This one's gonna look different than your regulator rectifier that's on your stock RZR 900. So this looks a little different. I'll show you what your stock one looks like, but it also includes a wire harness. You will need this wire harness to get this installed directly onto your RZR. So make sure your kit comes with that. It also includes bolts and a zip tie, a couple nuts there, and then it says what year and model these fit. So it fits the 2013 to 16 RZR 900 and the 1000. This is a dealer confirmation sheet here. They're supposed to fill this out with the VIN number, the technician. If you are just a individual putting this on, you don't have to worry about this paperwork. If you're a dealership, you do want to pay a little bit of attention to what this says. Sign and date that. Also put the VIN number in there. Certified that you're a professional, blah, blah, blah. So make sure you fill that out if you're a dealer. Don't worry about it if you're an individual. We're gonna go now and install this regulator rectifier. All right, I've already showed you how to remove the seat as well as this back engine panel here, this cover. You can see there are yellow wires. I'm gonna try to get in here and stay out of your way. Our yellow wires are here. These are coming from our regulator rectifier. You can see here, we've got the regulator rectifier, the new one here. And then we've got a couple different sets of, or three yellow wires, obviously 2 different connectors here. So this is gonna be the connector that goes directly to your stator. So this one's gonna be hooked up here, just like that. Now, the first thing you're gonna wanna do before you get started is unhook the battery. Because these go directly to your regulator rectifier. So they're gonna have to be removed anyways. You just wanna make sure you remember which wire goes where, because like on this model, we've got a winch coming in from this side. We also have some lights and stuff like that coming in from this side. So you'll just make sure that these are kept separate. These are gonna be replaced. These right here are your battery main cables there. So move that aside so they don't end up touching that battery during this process. Your regulator rectifier is gonna be under this area here. It's gonna be really hard for me to show you exactly where it's at because it's underneath. You're gonna have a hard time seeing it, but I'm gonna kind of show you that process here. We've unhooked already the negative and the positive wires. We've already unhooked, actually, that connector is just completely destroyed. I'm not sure where that went there. Oh, here's part of it. So you can see it got melted, got way, way too hot. And I've showed you that in a separate video, how to replace that stator, which was the cause of all these problems. And now the RZR is not starting. I'm thinking it's gonna be regulator rectifier. Regardless, this connector was shot anyway, so I just wanted to get a new one on there just to verify that everything is good. We have a new battery in here. It's an AGM. They're not cheap. I ended up finding this one at O'Reilly's. The Polaris one was another $45 or something. Ridiculous. I think Polaris batteries are about 170 if I remember right. This one was like a 130, 125, something like that with the core. So now I'm going to get to the regulator rectifier underneath up here, and it's just directly underneath up here. If you can see that there, I might be in your way, but you're going to have to crawl underneath the machine, pull that off of there. It's not a great position, but we'll work through it. All right, regulator rectifier is off of there. You can see there, that's what the original one looked like. These cable covers actually were filled with water just because of the way they were sitting. So as soon as I pulled that off of there, I dumped a decent amount of water all over myself because the way that those were turned in there. So I'm gonna set that aside now. I'm gonna take our new one and I'm gonna install it. I ended up just leaving the 2 bolts. So there's a bolt here and then a bolt here. I just left those connected. It's not this bolt that's here. I'm not totally sure. Oh, you know what? I'm not totally sure the purpose of this one. The other side has the same one. Maybe leave that in the comments below if you know what the purpose of that is. But I need to screw that back in. I thought maybe that was holding one side on and the other side was this one here. That's not the case. So I do need to take my wrench again, stick my arm underneath, and then just hold this up, add those two lock nuts on there. And you do want to make sure that you've got the lock nut that came on it originally. Remember, the new regulator rectifier came with its own, but you want to make sure that that's a lock nut so that those parts don't drop, so that this regulator rectifier doesn't drop. All right, we've got that regulator rectifier on down in the bottom there. Now we've got our harness here. And what I'm gonna do is just stick these down through there. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like before I am finished with this video, because I want you to see how I have these cables routed underneath of there. The important part is that you don't set it anywhere where that seat's gonna pinch it. You also wanna make sure, obviously, that you're behind this panel, because you don't want it to get pinched there. Now the second thing is, it's got a clip on the back of this connector here. That's gonna go right where the original clip was, and maybe yours doesn't have it on there anymore. You can actually use a pair of side dikes and pull it off of there if yours did end up staying on your frame there. And now what that's gonna do is just keep this connector from bouncing and setting against the motor there, and you're gonna have some serious problems with that connector getting way too hot if that's the case. So now I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna shove it down there. Now that's gonna keep it from rattling, going anywhere it shouldn't go. Now this wire obviously gonna go to our battery here, but I'm gonna go down below there, make sure that we have it routed down there properly before we attach the wires here. All right, so right there is a regulator rectifier. You could actually put that regulator rectifier, turn it either direction, so have the connectors up front or in the back. Gives it a little more protection if you have the connectors up front here. So connectors going towards the front of your machine. I think that's probably how Polaris would want you to install it. You can see here we've got our two connectors. Those are just going to push into place there. You're not going to be able to screw those up unless you use a sledgehammer to get those together there. You got black and gray. I think even if you're colorblind, you should be able to figure that one out. Just match up whatever colors you're seeing, and the connectors won't go together without extreme force in the wrong position there. So go ahead and stick those in. I'm gonna set the camera down so I can do that. All right, so interesting deal here. The way that Polaris has these cords, these wires, they're not long enough to use that clip that I was telling you about. So what I'm gonna do is actually take that zip tie that they provide you with and just zip tie this stator connector along this regulator rectifier connector to this rail here, just to keep it from sitting against that motor. But if you leave that peg there inside of that hole where I think you're supposed to put that cable is not going to be long enough, so keep that in mind. Now I am going to hook up our wires here. Again, positive and negative, and then our battery positive and negative down here, and then we'll fire up this machine.